Welcome back to the channel. This is Crimson, and today we're going to be doing a deck tech on another deck that I've been working on and having some good success with. This is going to be a humans theme deck. So let's start with the avatar. As we're going to be using Pathfinder. So unlike the other deck, where it was very important to have very specific placement of your locations, with this one, we don't care as much. We just want to get as many villages out as we can. We have ways to bounce the village and reposition them if we need to. So Pathfinder's a perfect one. It allows us to do nothing but draw grass. Instead of having to, spend a turn drawing from the Atlas, we can just end up drawing straight from the spell deck, try to overrun our opponent as fast as possible. Okay, let's look at lands. So it is a dual color deck. This is going to be an Earth Wind deck. So I'm running one Paradise. I think the card is a highly valuable card to run. Get it in your opening hand. You can put it in the back line. Get it later. Yeah, it may turn off once in a while. It happens. But it's a one-off that is highly worth it. Also running one Mirror Realm because, well, sometimes you get some really cool effects off, especially if you pop it off a Pathfinder and you have some other things around it. Granted, we would like to set this one if we can, but if we can't, it's not a big deal. Crossroads. Crossroads is probably the number one location you want to run with Pathfinder. The big reason why is because you get to top load your Atlas deck, so you know what's coming up and where you can place it. This allows you to be more controlling with your land placement, even with Pathfinder. I'm going to run 2 windmills because these are dual lands. We're going to run 2 watchtowers because we don't care about the dark tower, lone tower, +1 mana. I mean, don't get me wrong, could be good, but honestly, 90% of the time, stealth is a pain in the butt. So being able to turn off stealth is going to be a huge deal. It's still technically a tower. But yeah, we care about turning off that stealth. 3 bedrocks because, well, water's a thing. And then 9 villages. So a little under half of our locations are going to be villages and giving us some nice water there. Let's take a look at our unique guys. Queen of the Midland. So I still think she is super valuable creature. Ability to draw is insane. She's also a very strong target. So a lot of times playing her will get her targeted as much as possible. If that's the case, your opponent is going to be wasting stuff to try to take her out, not always a bad thing. Midland Army, 8 for 8, and it can literally shoot anything. That is insane. It's so good. I love this card. One of my favorite Earth cards in the game. Paired with the King of the Realm, it's 10 damage. That's 2-shot Avatar on Death's Door. That's huge. King of the Realm, all other mortals get +2, and you control all mortals in the realm. Super strong. If they play their king first, yeah. So if you are going against another human stack, hold this until they play their king. They're eventually going to play their king because they're going to be like, I'm getting overran here. Once they do, you play your king, you gain control of theirs. Boom. Grand Wizard. Your cards. Pretty much any wind deck I play is going to run this card. This is a card that I can't wait to get in, a chase version. Okay, let's talk about some of the minions or units here. Probably my favorite Earth mid-tier unit is going to be Imperial Pikemen, 4 for 4. These pikemen deal combat damage before their opponents in fights, before other minions in fights. That is probably one of the strongest unit abilities in the game. That means they fight something, they're going to deal their damage first. If that thing dies, the opponent will not deal their damage back. That is so massive and so game changing. I really wish there was a second pikeman, like maybe a 2 for 2 that also did that, because man, I would want all my units to have this ability. This is an insane ability, especially when upgraded with King. I mean, now you're looking at 6, upgraded with maybe some House Bannermen. Okay, now you're looking at 7, 8. It's really out of control real fast. Okay, we're playing 4 Apprentice Wizards. 1 is it's a spellcaster, and 2, it replaces itself. Allows you to keep going with gas. 3 cost is not that big of a deal when you're playing Pathfinder. Okay, Midland Mercenary. This is a 2 for 4 that has a downside or an upside depending on how you look at it. So, downside is you have to return an empty village you control to its owner's hand. A nearby, very important, nearby empty village. If you can't, you must return them to your hand. So, if it does mean that you have to position it near an empty village. Now, it's not hard to get an empty village. Just move a villager off of there, play it, pop it back to your hand. What I like to do with these guys is I kind of hold them till later when my Pathfinder has ended up in a spot where it's not moving anymore. Pathfinding is done. And you get that. You get into a corner, and then it's going to take you 3 or 4 turns to get to a new space where you can play a land. So at that point, I'll play these. I'll pop a village back up to my hand, and then just tap the Pathfinder to play the village. As long as I'm at 8 mana, then I'm generally more than okay not playing any more land. But also, let you reposition a village if you need to. 1 Shield Maidens. These maidens and other nearby allied minions have iron skin. Really good when you put it next to a Midlands army. Makes it very hard to kill them. Or next to a Bannerman, which makes them a little bit more tanky. There's only 1 of them in the deck, but I think it's a very important aspect of the deck that you need to have. Some way to keep things a little bit easier from dying. Same thing with the Imperial Pikemen. Brings them up to an 8. Puts them out of certain spells range. Now Bannerman. I'm running 2. Thinking about adding a 3rd one in. They're really good. Like, they are really nearby allies gain +1 power. Super powerful. Just, I mean, there's not much to say. They're really, art is amazing. Flavor is amazing. Everything's great on them. I do have 2 lethal stealths, Night Rogues. This allows me to snipe out some enemies. Also allows me to do some other shenanigans with like locations and getting these here without having to worry too much about being, blown out on them. The Kite Archers. So I'm a big fan of the Kite Archers. With the King out, they're 3. They have range 2 and they can move. So not only are these archers very far range, but they're also able to always move, which allows them, unlike the other archers in the game, to be able to have some mobility. Yes, they don't have a lot of initial damage, but the other nice thing about these is you can position these on the board enough to checkmate their avatar on death's door. Super strong minion. And when you start thinking about this game as a form of chess, it really is a chess. Then you start thinking about that checkmate potentials, and this has the checkmate potential. Okay, let's look at some spells here. Running 2 elite counter spells. You're probably already thinking to yourself, what do you do about board wipes? Or the big, wave of destructions against water. And these are here for those. You are not going to run into a lot of elite spells. I've noticed that a lot of people don't play as many or a ton of elite spells, or at least I have. I've rarely gotten to use this. I'll tell you what, when I have used it, it saved the game every time. This is just too strong of a card not to run 2 of them. um, I have to run through it. A spell block. Counter target, counter a spell target near your spellcaster. This is going to stop, thunderbolts. It's going to stop um, buried, submerged stuff, drag under, stuff like that. It's a very good counterspell. It is more limited, but it doesn't cost anything. So definitely worth running one of. Sorry guys, I'm coming back from being sick. This is why I haven't made a video in a while. Um, Allergies in this area, yeah, pretty much destroyed me. Um, there, okay. Enlist. Enlist allows us to dig for the pikeman, or maybe a wizard, or maybe we need the shield maidens or bannermen. Maybe we're at the end of the game and we need a checkmater. Boom, enlist is super strong. And the fact that it goes into your hand is huge. Okay, we're running one of these for a very important reason. One, well, obviously, +1 power is huge. The bannermen that cost 2. The other big one is they can't be controlled by your opponent or forced to take an action due to an enemy spell or this means in the mirror match that you have to get your king down early. Well, this is the way to get your king back. It's too good for the mirror match, and the +1 power is still super powerful, super strong. This is by far one of the things that I want to do is I would like to add in to disenchants or dispels, but I haven't been able to find the room yet. They are going to probably be in the deck at some point. The reality is I'm probably going to take out the buried for the disenchant. It's really hard. These buried are very good for taking out eggs. Eggs are just so powerful. The buried really needs to be in there. The problem is water. Counters buried. We do have 3 Thunderbolts. This is also another way to kill a Death's Door or checkmate and an enemy or a Death's Door avatar. I think you have to run 3 or 4 Thunderbolts if you're playing Wind. It's just too powerful not to, and you need to be able to kill a Death's Door avatar. And a lot of times they have strategies to make it so you can't directly attack them. So the Thunderbolt is how you can do it. 2 burieds because, well, again, Devil's Egg is a broken card. And 2 Order Militia because, well, I like the idea of paying 1 and getting, 3 or 4 units. It's pretty good. But these may be on the chopping block for the dispels. And then I know you're probably thinking, well, that's too. But I want consistency. I want to be able to draw them. The removing of the threshold is really what they're there for. Like, yeah, cost is nice, but removing the threshold is so good. I just really love removing the threshold part. And then a Philosopher's Stone, which just kind of does a little bit of everything. I may end up doing some tweaks. Honestly, I'm still having like to get like 2 more cards in here. And so we'll see what we can do here. There may be a second version of that coming up like much later once we see more. For now, that's the deck. That is Earth Wind Humans or Earth Wind Mortals. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.